Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar on the NMFC changes in ClassIT Plus. The Ask Us Anything, we're just going to give everybody a minute as some of the participants are still joining. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So this is a little bit different of a webinar than what we've traditionally done. At the end of our last webinar, we got some really good questions and we ran out of time. So we decided that every couple of weeks we're going to get together and do a webinar just where we answer questions on not only the changes, but the technology that is going to help with the changes. So this is our first answer, ask us anything. So it's an opportunity for you guys to ask any questions. So that we're going to cover the data changes, the item lookup tool, and ClassIT Plus. So today it's myself, Joe Orr, the Chief Operating Officer at NMFTA, and with me is Holly Taylor, who's the Director of Product that is helping lead the strategy with ClassIT Plus, and Keith Peterson, Director of Operations, who led the changes with the NMFC. And Holly, I'll let you go through the important dates.
Thank you. Before we get started, we just wanted to highlight a few important dates. The NMFC Item Lookup Tool launched on April 21st, so please go out and check that out. On May 13th, we will have the API Sandbox available for testing. It'll be populated with non-production data, and we'll also be kicking off beta on that date. July 15th, 2025, that is when ClassIT Plus will be released. And then July 19th, 2025 is when the NMFC data changes become effective.
All right, and I'll just go through some key resources really quickly here that are really important for you, everybody to know, because even beyond these Q&As here that we're having, these resources are things that you can look back on and go find a lot of the things that we've put out there that can help you out with understanding the changes and some key data that really everybody needs. So first, really NMFCchanges.com. So is a great place to go. It's got links to really everything that we've been doing, including videos that we put out there. The lookup tool, which we released back on 21st, as Holly mentioned, is at getclassification.com. This is a really simple tool to use that is open to anybody to take advantage of. And then ClassITplus.com is out there, and it's got all the information you need about ClassIT Plus coming out on July 15th to help you prepare for it, and really good overviews about what it's going to be all about and how we're really improving our ClassIT product here. So, Joe?
Thanks, Keith. So this is a live Q&A. So at the bottom of the screen, there's a Q&A button. So if you have any questions, feel free, please type those in and we will ask the panel to answer the questions. Questions that we don't get to, we will attempt to answer offline. We will look at questions to add to an FAQ that we'll publish later. And so again, this is to talk about the data changes, the lookup tool, and ClassIT Plus. Important to remember, we do look at LinkedIn posts and comments on that. We do not do pricing, so we want to keep, we won't answer any questions on pricing. NMFTA does not do anything with tariffs or pricing. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. And so Keith, I know you've talked a lot about this, really interested to how carriers intend to treat shipments that contain new and unchanged materials on the same shipments?
So I assume that means anything that is being changed by 2025-1. So the date that these things, that the changes go into effect is July 19th, which is a Saturday, actually. So it's going to end up being carrier by carrier, how they enact these changes and how it goes, how they would affect possibly a shipment that's en route at the time. But for the most part, I would expect carriers to, anything that's booked after the 19th will reflect the changes in the NMFC. And anything before that would be according to how it is currently here. Now, there's always going to be some edge cases around that that will have to be handled. And again, that'll be carrier by carrier. And a lot of it will depend on how they enact these changes within their system, because we are making the data available early so that they can prepare their systems for the changes as well.
Okay, thanks, Keith. Keith, this one I'll let you talk about because we also work on digital standards, which includes BOL. Can you talk about BOL requirement changes in dealing with mixed pallets that contain multiple classes? And I know mixed pallets is something that we've talked about quite a bit. And I know it's a little bit looking ahead.
So I mean, there's actually two questions in there, and thank you, Robert, for asking this here. And it's important to note with 2025-1, we didn't make any changes to BOL requirements or even to mixed freight as well. We really were very specific on what we were trying to do with 2025-1. That's not to say that we don't realize that for something like the mixed freight rule, that has to be updated to reflect what we're doing with full-scale density now here. So that's something we're working to put into a future docket here as well. As far as BOL requirements, those aren't changing as well. There are certain requirements that are still out there regarding you should be putting in the item number as well as I can't remember exactly. Shoot, I got quizzed here. But we are strongly encouraging shippers to start getting their dimensions and their weight and putting it on the BOL here, because with so many items going to full density, the dimensions and the weight are going to be key in getting an accurate rate. And really, the carriers want to know how much room it's going to take on the trailer here. So it's really going to be key going forward to having that information on the BOL.
And Holly, can you talk about in the existing ClassIT and also ClassIT Plus, if you wanted to locate a specific NMFC number that was discontinued and what it was replaced with, where that would be in both the existing ClassIT and ClassIT Plus?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the current ClassIT, it's not very easy to find. You'll have to go back and you'll have to do your own investigation into the PDFs, the supplements. You can do the search and it'll pull up anywhere that item was found in the PDFs. And then you'll have to read through and find out, what item, if it was when it was canceled and what replaced it. So in ClassIT Plus, starting with 2025-1, we'll actually show the cancellation with reference as part of the history of that item. So on when you perform a search, you can go in, and if that item was canceled right away, you'll actually see that it was canceled, and you'll see the item that it was replaced with if it was replaced. If it became obsolete, we'll also let you know that as well. And then if you go and you click into the history of that item at some point in time, perhaps in a year, you're going to search for the item that replaced it. You can go back to that item and you can actually see that, oh, in 2025-1, it replaced this item. So we will provide a 1-year snapshot immediately from like the search results. The PDFs for the supplements will also be available and part of the search, and that will continue to be functional.
Okay. So one of the questions, so Holly, the raised hand symbol, and that's the one that shows there's a special characteristic. So handling stowability liability issue. And that will show in ClassIT Plus. So Keith, how will this note affect class if it's got one of those characteristics within
Sure.
ClassIT Plus?
Sure. So one of the main points of 2025-1 is we tried to move as many items that don't have handling, stowability, and liability into full density. But we're keeping items that do have handling, stowability, and liability still in their current state here. And on a go-forward basis, as we examine freight and note that there is a handling, stowability, or liability issue with that commodity, we will do a full research project on this and assign class appropriately. That's actually one of our underlying rules on this, where if there is a handling, stowability, and liability issue, we don't put it to full density and instead do what we've always done, a research project, look at the density and assign class levels appropriately for any of those items. So in a sense, yes, it will still affect class here.
Okay. And then there's a couple questions that I'll answer related to the NMFC codes are changing. The first question is there a downloadable Excel sheet? There is a downloadable Excel sheet. It's within ClassIT, but we also have the NMFC Item Lookup Tool. And what that is for those of you who aren't aware, you can go to the getclassification.com and type in as many item numbers as you'd like that you will utilize, and you can export those. You can also upload a complete list, and it'll tell you which items are changing. And which items, it'll tell you what's being replaced. And that's really the tool. It was created based on demand, rather than the Excel sheet. If you want to do an Excel sheet, that's also available. Some people are looking at the docket and saying, oh, putting in everything, which you can definitely do. I personally, we really underestimated the popularity of that tool. We're excited. We've got over 3,000 registered users on the tool, so it's definitely a tool that's being used. So yeah, the Excel sheet's still there, but most people are finding a lot of use for Get Classification. For a limited time, we underestimated how often it's going to be used, and so we're just going to keep it out there until ClassIT Plus goes and the new docket goes live until the 19th. And then it'll become part of ClassIT Plus. And so again, you guys found it so useful, we'll incorporate it as part of ClassIT Plus. But we're going to leave it out there until the docket changes. One of the questions was, hey, I requested access at Get Classification, but you haven't received the email. My request is that you try it again. At one point, we were blocked by a antivirus. So it was getting so many hits, they blocked us. That's a good problem to have. We've since been unblocked. But if you did have a problem, we ask that you try again. If it still doesn't work, please open up a support ticket, and we'll be sure to contact you and make sure that you get registered so that you can go ahead and utilize it. So Holly, as a subscriber to ClassIT, do we get upgraded to ClassIT Plus, or is it a separate subscription?
Yeah, if you have an active ClassIT subscription, you will automatically transition over to ClassIT Plus. So active simply means that your subscription has not expired by July 15th. So you'll want to make sure that if you currently have an expiration date between now and July 15th, that you renew and you'll be transitioned over to ClassIT Plus with that expiration date. So you'll in May, sometime in mid-May, all the way through the end of June, we are going to start sending out communications to our current subscribers so you know what to expect and what to do next. Essentially, we will be transitioning all of your subscription data over to ClassIT Plus. And the only thing you'll have to do, you and your users will have to activate your login. You will get emails to tell you when to do so. Again, we will send out information on how to do this. We'll have knowledge-based articles, we'll have videos, we'll guide you through everything you need to do to get ready for July 15th. Your company admin will actually have early access to ClassIT Plus early in July so that they can go in and they can make sure that your subscription is set up correctly, all your licenses are assigned correctly. Now, please note that you will be transitioning over to ClassIT Plus with the number of licenses you have now. So if you have 10 licenses now, but share those licenses amongst 20 people, when you transition over to ClassIT Plus, you get 10 licenses for 10 users. You will have to add additional user licenses on July 15th in order to get those other users access. ClassIT Plus will be a fixed seat licensing, which means you cannot share your licensing. We are going to leverage Okta for our login so that it's more secure and just for both yourselves and for ClassIT Plus and the data.
Okay, thanks, Holly.
Yep.
The next is, so this is a really good question. And Keith, talk about, I think this is for both of you guys. There's only 4 days between the release of the changes and the effective date. Even when we did ClassIT, we did this. And we tied this to a new product. And the reason we did it is because we really think of ClassIT Plus as a way to help with the transition. And there's always 4 days between the time that we update the docket in ClassIT and the docket change itself. Can you kind of explain why there's only 4 days, which it's really always been the case? Keith?
So I guess I took that question a little bit differently, I'll be honest, Joe.
Okay.
Right? And maybe I took it wrong here, but the release of the changes, and I just wanted to remind everybody that we actually started talking, we released the docket back in January, and the final version was released in March here. So the actual changes themselves have been out there for quite a while. And even before that, we were releasing spreadsheets on those, on what is in scope and what is out of scope. So, and I'm not sure if I'm answering that correctly or not, but the changes that we're making at NMFC have been around, have been really widely publicized for quite a while here. But, if there's any questions about any of those changes, you can always come to us and ask as well here. So.
And I took it as the release of the changes to the time that they go into the product, because it's the difference between when we say, hey, the docket's live, and the time that it's actually reflected in the software.
So generally, and Holly can correct me if I'm wrong here, once we have the supplement ready, we go ahead and load that into ClassIT, and that could be weeks ahead of time, actually, Joe. So,
right.
I think that the 4 days between ClassIT Plus being ready and the 19th just turned out, and Holly, let me know if I'm wrong, it was basically based on development cycles in order to get ClassIT Plus out here. So.
Well, yeah, and we want to remember that ClassIT Plus is the tool for the NMFC changes. So the changes are effective on the 19th, and And Keith is correct. The supplement has an issue date and an effective date. And traditionally, that issue date is 30 days before the effective date. Now, with 2025-1, things are a little bit different. The issue date is actually, I believe, May 10th or 12th. So we're actually issuing the supplement, 2 months prior to the effective day, so people can prepare for these changes. That release, like I said, will be coming out soon and will be available. And so traditionally, the data that is searchable, we have, different types of searches in ClassIT and ClassIT Plus, but the main search focuses around the data today and what the effective date is. So we really wanted this release to be close to the effective date. So as you start using ClassIT Plus, the data that's being presented to you is, pretty much almost effective or will be effective within a few days. That way, as you're working through your processes and getting your quotes and filling out all your BOLs and all this other stuff, the data is either it's effective or it's almost effective. If you are an API user, ClassIT Plus API user, you'll actually get early access to those changes so that you can prepare your systems. So really, it's the ClassIT Plus, the web users that get the access 4 days before. So it is that tool for accessing the most current data.
Okay, thanks, Holly. Keith, there's a couple questions about and I know we talked a little bit about this before. Until the next set of changes, what is the recommendation to classify mixed pallets of products or mixed commodities?
Yeah, I mean, really good question. And one of the things we tried to do with this docket is, you think like 80% of the freight that actually gets moved over LTL is on pallets and boxed up, right? So keep in mind that even without the changes to mixed freight rule, a lot of these items are likely going to 13 subscale full density. So the class is going to be pretty uniform across the board. Now, we didn't get to everything, so there could be some edge cases out there that may have to be dealt with until we update the mixed freight rule. But I think one of the most important things, even having said all that, is you should be listing all the different commodities that are on that pallet on the bill of lading so that it's very easy to see, including the item number. So it's very easy to see, hey, if it is just 13 sub density, full scale density, excuse me, it's really going to be uniform when it comes to class, no matter what's on that pallet there.
Okay. One of the changes is the NMFC Item Lookup Tool doesn't highlight invalid NMFCs. It just states the current item is not part of 2025-1. Can the logic be updated in the tool so it returns invalid NMFC? It's a great suggestion, and the later products is something when it's part of we are looking at that. The current product really just looked at 2025-1. And so we really just took what's in 2025-1, and we really want to keep it simple. So we didn't go outside of 2025-1. Great suggestion. But it won't be part of this tool, but we definitely want to look at how we're doing it as part of future tools, especially when it becomes part of ClassIT Plus itself. Some of the other questions that we've got, can we expect the 13 sub density to be uniform across all NMFCs?
I'll take that one here. So no. Now a majority of the items are moving to really full density, but as I said before, items with handling, storeability, and liability issues will still have research projects assigned to them where we'll take a look at it and assign class or even modify density scales appropriately based on the characteristics of those items. So not all items are going to be assigned 13 sub full scale density.
Okay. Somebody also said, hey, I can't get into getclassification.com. Again, open up a support ticket. We'd be happy to help. We don't have any issues that we've seen. So we'd be happy to troubleshoot with you. Just open up a support ticket and we can take a look. If there's no reference to a change in the docket for my items, so should I assume no change is being made?
So if you look at Get classification, it says it's not part of 2025-1 docket, then that's correct. There's no changes being made to that item number itself here. So
getclassification.com will give me new NMFC number, codes and subcodes. Yeah, if you put in the existing number, it will give you whether or not that is changing. And if there's a new code, it will definitely give you that new code. So if you haven't used it, please register and use it. We've got, like I said, over 3,000 registered users, and the feedback has been positive.
and just to clarify, Joe, I mean, it's just going to give the new item number, no
Yeah.
like subcodes or anything like that, right? It's really just a way for people to quickly look up what their new item number may be and what's happening to it as well. But keep in mind that a big part that we don't really talk much about, I get that, is with 2025-1, a lot of those sub items that maybe were under generic headings, we actually condensed a lot of those as well and just made them into one item number. So that's a huge part of 2025-1 that's there to simplify classification for really everybody.
Okay. Holly, about licenses. So does one license or does one user per license, I mean, I can only log in from one computer per license? And that's a really good question. So can you explain the per user versus per seat?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can log in from any device. I can log in from my laptop, a desktop, my phone, a tablet. You're not limited to what device you have to log into. So if you log into your laptop, that does not mean that I have to log into my laptop every single time. No, you can access ClassIT Plus from any device. What we mean by this is you can't share logins. So because we use Okta for single sign-on and multi-factor authentication, we have that extra layer of security so that you just can't share your username and password with everyone. You can't have 5 people logging in with the same login credentials. This is really about security, and yeah, so you can log in from any device.
Okay. And Holly, I know we got one more minute, so I'm going to ask you to be quick on this one. Talk about when a customer transitions, how long we're going to leave the ClassIT up?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be up through the fall. Originally, it was supposed to be until October, but I believe we pushed it out till November. So a minimum of 3 months, most likely 3 to 6 months. So you'll have access to the current ClassIT through the fall. Please just know that the current ClassIT will only have the 2024 data. The 2025-1 data will not be available in the current ClassIT. It'll only be available in ClassIT Plus.
And as far as customers transitioning, how will they transit? Can you talk a little bit about the transition plan?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're already part of our database, our subscribers database, you will just literally pull your sorry, I can't talk right now. Your subscription information over to ClassIT Plus, And so again, we'll do that automatically behind the scenes. We'll send you emails so that your users can activate their login. And then your company admin will literally just go in at the beginning of July and confirm that your company's information is correct and that your licensing information is correct.
All right, everyone, I think one of the big lessons we learned is we need to make this an hour. And so we appreciate all the questions. We will work through some more of these questions, and we've got the next one scheduled. And Aaron, I think we need to extend it an hour, but appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.